Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Smite Prime, where the plays are always premium. It's D'Lo here, joined by Musicland in the booth. We have Almighty Eye in the Sky, Tess, Rosie Panda, Jithins, and Auverin, your peeps behind that curtain, keeping everything running all nice and fresh. We got semifinals coming up for you here in just a moment. We'll be skipping that third round to hippity hop onto the top of the bracket for what we have and what very well could be one of our final contenders before us here. So we look at the bracket right now. Jump Machine, former victors of that last week. Muse, you got a big chance to cast them a bunch up against the King's very own court.
Well, I am very familiar with Jump Machine's game, and I can tell you that they are good at playing it, so the King's Court will have a bit of a competition ahead of them if they want to perform against the King's Court. But seeing that the King's Court were able to take a game over Cherry Slush does give me some confidence that that match will be a good one to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Cherry Slush was one of the only teams that could really stand up to Jump Machine prior, so the fact that the King's Court are able to upset them, hey, just go, well, maybe not even upset. It's going to show that they can potentially take them down, and we're going to be hopping into P's and B's right now to find out. In terms of Musey, your insider knowledge, what should we be expecting here other than a Bari ban?
So, Bari Van truly is just evergreen, isn't it? I would say we're looking at picks like Aphrodite, Cabrakan, very powerful gods and very powerful for what they do. Cabrakan's still very strong in that solo lane, and Aphrodite being able to be super viable either in support for the most part really sets up for pick comps. Now that I get a chance to see who's doing what and where, happen in support means that the Morrigan is definitely a character that we need to address for Jump Machine. You can't let them have that god at all. Otherwise, things get really dicey.
Fenrir's gonna be the first one off the Jump Machine mark, which is a bit strange since he does like to jump quite a bit. Bari banned away, no one's surprised. Get that thing away from me. Aladdin's gonna be banned as well because Briz is known to be operating that just every once in a while. And again, a lot of jumps. Jump Machine really not going by their own name. They're literally banning the parts that make the machine work.
I wonder if Wheelix is a pickup just to say that Jump Machine is the only ones allowed to jump. Like if you jump, you get yanked down, right? Little,
That'd be some good thematic consistency.
Yeah, we love that here. But probably going to be something along the lines of, now that Fenrir is gone, Artemis?
Sure.
That's not what I was going to say. I'm going to level with you, D'Lo. I don't know if Artemis is the first pick that we're really looking for, so it'll be interesting to see if that pans out for Jump Machine, just because she has that anti-get-off-me button. Like, she can throw out the boar. She feels pretty safe, but I feel like Odin and Achilles being hovered here are a little more contentious for those first pick spots.
Yeah, I'd agree. The Odin's been a staple so far today. Has been a bit hot and cold. We saw last game it was the latter, and in game one it absolutely destroyed. I again will say, I like Odin better in the jungle. And the fact that you have an Achilles here who also kind of likes to be in that jungle, I think I'd prefer to see Achilles sticking to the solo because that execute threshold I think is less useful on a rotating incline than a cage. A wandering cage is so demoralizing to deal with because at any moment your playing field, you have a whole lane. No, you got this small little circle. Fight in it. Baron Samity, picked up by Jump Machine, showing that this god still got quite a lot of promise in terms of its priority. And Poseidon being locked in here. Get in the water.
Oh, gonna be a bit of a storm that the King's Court will have to see and acknowledge there. I wonder where this Poseidon's headed, because we did see, it was Jump Machine, I think it was last week, that was running a Poseidon ADC over in that duo lane. You do have the aspect available to you, so that would mean Artemis could go into the mid lane where she does have a chance to shine. Last pick Cabrakan? Where am I? What is this?
Okay. Jumped in the time machine, I guess is what's going on here. Jingwei and Hekate, Bacchus on the other side. So still some jumps left for the King's Court as well between that Odin and Bacchus. And honestly, Jump Machine also kind of making good on their name with the Hoon bots too. Oh, hold on. Switch up there is not Achilles, in fact. It's a different long-haired, handsome man. Thor instead going to take up that.
I guess the Morgan was here all along, and it was just chilling in that second slot for the King's Court.
Suppose so.
That changes things for my opinion, of the King's Court composition, because this could mean that Odin is going in the jungle like you had asked for, and Thor over in that solo lane. Now we have that wandering cage, and who gets caught in that cage? Artemis, Baron, Poseidon, Cabrakan? The only one who's able to get out is Hunbots with the old classic monkey flip. So this cage gets a lot of value. Shell has got to be something to be looked at, or if you're really feeling fancy, the Helm of Darkness could let a character get out of the cage, but that's a very spicy pick to pick up. So unlikely we see that, but if you do get it, whoever picks it up, 5 Musicland sauce points just for you.
Okay, so keep that in mind. We'll be in our eye on what the itemization is there. My eye is really on Jump Machine's game plan. It's a ton of burst damage, right? Between Cab, between Poseidon. I will say, Hunbots being slaughtered alongside that, in a sense, worries me because of math. We talked about our fear of addition before. Now I'm going to introduce something even scarier. PEMDAS. I'll introduce you something even scarier than that. Semifinals. We'll hop in a game real quick and then talk about it. PEMDAS, Musi. Get your calculator out. Get your protractors, because we got to talk about some math here. What's the proper order of operations? You have a Kraken that wants everyone together and a Fear No Evil that pulls everyone apart.
So I think the math that they're doing probably involves hitting one person with that Kraken. It's a big subtraction problem. Minus one god off the enemy team. Twig on this Poseidon pick is going to be looking for picks with this Kraken. You're not going to try to see if you can hit the super mega awesome, I just hit a 5-man, that's a clip, put it on the Twitter page. It's, hey, this Hecate is out of position, killer, right? That Thor has no hammer, get him. Odin no jump, boom, crack it, right? Valo with this ultimate is going to use it to basically set up an instance so that Twig can find their one person that can't avoid the Kraken, blow them up, and then move on from there.
That's something interesting roadmap to lay out for us here. And you also have the Baron Samity to set up. If you do want to change up that game plan, you can still try to get that big clip for Overin to live tweet. And we can see that happen, trying to follow instead of our friends we've seen before operating the same god, getting up close and personal aggressive with that Sunder. Does, I believe, not able to get that steal as Jing Wei is happily marching away with that purple elf reefed around them. In terms of just taking a broad look at the map here, which lane interests you the most? What should we be keeping our eye on?
I'm really curious as to how this Poseidon versus Hecate lane pans out, because to me, Hecate should have a leg up over Poseidon.
Aspect
because Aspect Poseidon. Hello? Are you? No, you're not dead. Okay.
No.
I was like, when you see characters locked up on top of each other like that, you always get a little bit nervous. But Hecate just kind of lives against what Poseidon does because she has that shield, and when the Odin decides to jump in, she's able to put that shield onto Odin, so the damage there is super good. But Poseidon, in turn, their whole game plan is not to interact. Whoa, unlike Hunbots.
Yeah, Valo getting up close and personal instantly takes down Moods for the first blood. Jump Machine getting it started with a hip skip and a jump. Makes sense to just try to get some pressure on that dual lane to ensure that Happen and Tegvir. We talked about it in the green room, the fact that Happen might very well now be one of, if not the best contenders for top support in all of Smite 2. And to give them that advantage by paying a bit more TLC to that left side, not angry with that.
And especially too, you also have another big name there of Tegvir, the dual lane of a lifetime. The pressure now moves to solo lane.
Karmic gonna be instantly wiped away by Snatty, so we're seeing coast-to-coast violence but in opposite sides. The King's Court clearly preferring to set up shop on this right side. What's the consequence of that? Does that make sense with what we expect from the comp?
Well, Odin had to... this Cabrakan wasn't dying unless Odin rotates. Cabrakan and Thor... It's not like a sleeper lane, but realistically, neither of those characters are going to be able to kill each other. But now with that, it does give Snatty a bit of a leg up. So when this Thor is able to get online and active, they'll be able to rotate sooner than Karmic. And with those Thor ults, now you have a great follow-up tool or a great engage tool that you can leverage once we start reaching the mid game.
Level 5 difference is going to be reached here for the junglers soon, and that's where my eye is on, as well as for the mids. I'm very curious to see, since that Poseidon does have the aspect, a bit more sustained damage, so not quite as reliant on the burst as you might expect your average Poseidon to be, but nonetheless, that Kraken is what we all have our eyes on, as well as the Whirlpool actually shuts out a lot of mobility options from King's Court.
There's a lot of utility with this Poseidon, but I think you really hit the nail on the head where it's less burst when you have this aspect. It's all sustained. Look at the build even just now. Death's Toll, and you can see the instrument there. That item tells me that it's either going to be something like a Braggy's Harp or a Death Metal, split scaling, magical ADC item. So this Poseidon is all about landing ultimates, like this Baron Samedi is.
Going to be able to drag one in, finds the Sunder right on top. Fear no Evil, not even necessary. Wrap it up nice and quickly. Tegvir takes the kill.
Another kill over in that dual lane. And Valo, like you said before, putting a lot of pressure into this lane, trying to get Happen and Tegvir ahead, which Baron and Artemis as a dual lane excel at poking people out. You have a lot of range damage with those characters. And now that they're ahead, that poke gets even more effective. And more importantly, Valo just gets to get huge off of it.
Here comes the Kraken, the Fear No Evil to follow shortly. Open the gates, not going to save Justin Hu as they close just before they could step up. Now it's going to be just more pressure afforded to even more parts of the map. Jump Machine, everything spelling up victory for them.
Kraken being used here is a good example of how we're going to see it more often. It is a tool, a knock-up stun and damage, so that Valo can follow up on it and really lay some damage on. Like, think less Kraken to win a fight and more Kraken to set up your jungler, so that it's almost the same way that you would use a tank to try to bait things in a dive comp, right? Kraken's here to bait beads. Kraken's here to force an ultimate, to force a tool, so that Valo gets to walk up and say, hello, my name is Hunbats. I'm going to perform Fear No Evil. And I hope you like it here on American Idol.
3 red X's.
And then, like, there it goes.
Simon Cowell saying, bloody awful. Get off the stage.
I don't like this song at all much, actually.
Oh, awesome. All right, well, Val gonna try to put on an encore for us. I'll prove him wrong. Let me show you real quick my dancing skills. Sacred Monkey, at the very least, gonna impress for a bit of decent poke on top of the Odin, but not enough as Valo once again kicked out for hopefully a chance to audition next year on America's Got Talent. Now they gotta step back. Gold Fury is available. Objective pressure. I mean, the fact that you have less burst means that Kraken a bit less potent for secure, but nonetheless still might be enough. Same story here with another gank from Jump Machine on this left side. Jingwei could find themselves in a spot of bother. Sacred Monkey has the option to TP, and the Bacchus knows it. Uses that belch preemptively to just try to save him, but might be at the cost of their own life. A great after the after party, and Moods will go down once more.
We haven't had a chance to talk about it yet, but super relevant. Look how many beads are on the side of the King's Court. 2. The rest of them are Sunders. So you know who really benefits from that? Baron Samedi and Hunbats and Poseidon, literally anybody with the CC ability.
True.
Now goes nuclear. Justin Hu has to stay super afraid of Valo in the jungle. If they get caught out and they get Fear No Evil, that man's dead. Over in the dual lane, Bacchus flopped away and then has no options available to them once Life of the Party comes out. You don't even need a lot of Hysteria to like super suck him in there. It doesn't matter. A little bit is all it takes because he has nowhere to go. And then Artemis ult right after the fact, you're done. You're literally dead. There's no options available to you. There is a solution to this problem. I'm getting on my soapbox, Stilo. This is it. I'm stepping
Talisman?
up. Here we are.
Say it.
Talisman of Purification, baby. It's an item in the game. We need like 7.
All right, well, let's see if they're able to buy 12 shells. I heard there's an anti-scalping rule against those, so you're gonna have to try to sneak it past. Right now, Valo can instantly drop that Fear No Evil, puts on that repeat performance. Simon Cowell still not impressed, neither is Snatty, as they've managed to pin him against the wall, finds the Sunder too, one last stroke of the hammer, and the monkey will fall. Twig as well, Justin Hu gonna be able to take them down. Now the cabin is spot of bother, it's a 3v1. Might shortly be balanced out by the approach of Baron Samedi, but a bit too little, a bit too late. Decides to take the scenic route, but a good heal keeps Karmic up for just a bit longer as they find the kill in return on top of Justin. Baron Samedi being the MVP to keep them alive and make the enemy dead, and now Snatty's gotta flee.
The King's Court win there, stymied just a little bit, and the follow-up, Sundering Arc and the ultimate. Snatty falls as well.
God.
Wow, dude, that is not great for the King's Court. Everything really lined up for them there too. I'm looking at that beautiful wall that Snatty put out, that trapped Valo, Tagveer, Solos Golden. Oh,
What's going on?
It's a house of cards. It's all blowing down. Little pig, let me in. Jump Machine lose a couple of kills and then say, you know what? Let's grab a couple of our own.
Beautiful work there by Jump Machine to just kind of not be afraid of any of that pressure. I gotta say, I was questioning Happen. I was like, why are you going around the back of the buff pit when you could just try to assist them directly? It's so that way the Consigned Spirits was completely unseen and unknown. Heals back up Karmic just enough for them to get their damage off. Walks away with the kill like it ain't even a problem. 7-3, 9 minutes in. Gold lead, pretty significant, about 3K the Wave Jump Machine. And that's without any Furies to even speak of.
And speaking of Furies, this Poseidon has built Triton's Conch, so when it comes time, hold that thought. Tagveer, are you in danger?
Might just be airstrike there to fall. The trap will not meet them upon landing. It's okay. Baron Samity's on the scene here to back you up. Abak is gonna back that one right onto 0. Tagveer gets shut down by Justin Hu. The Odin rotating cage is just that effective.
Good response there from the King's Court, and definitely something they need to stop Jump Machine from getting too far ahead, too crazy with it. Happen next on the chopping block here doesn't have a lot of options, maybe just to walk away. Once Bacchus uses their flip and their belch, there's not a whole lot that can be done to hold them in place.
Valo being held inside this pit as the Cyclone wards are going to be able to try to occupy him for just long enough for that Odin to leap across the wall and get the kill. Now Twig, 1v2 here. You don't have that burst option. That Kraken hitting for peanuts, and Briz gonna gobble him down after cracking him open.
Well, it does look like Jump Machine got a little too big for their britches there. Caught out by Justin Hu and Briz. They just didn't have the right response there. I especially appreciated Justin Hu pretty much checkmating Valo there, saying, hey, you gotta jump over the wall. But so can I. And just catches him right after the fact. It shows that the King's Court not rolling over, not dying. They're still staying aware, and oh my damage.
Nearly finishes the job, but open the gates, whisks you back off to tier 1. Karmic says, where the hell am I? I thought I was killing someone. You were, buddy, but now you're the one in danger instead. Akate lurks around the side. He gets a great mez with triplicate vision, and Odin can close the distance. Karmic takes a few more minions with him before they meet their end. It's Briz's staff.
Just trying to, at the very least, to trade out there, but Briz did a good job maintaining distance and not letting themselves fall behind. But look at the response from Jump Machine. Hello? Gold Fury? It's me, Musi. Are you okay? No, they're dead. Jump Machine gets the first Gold Fury of the game, all off the back of the chaos. You know what Karmic was doing that whole time? Being a nuisance, being Kabrakan, and saying, hey, you gotta kill me or else I'm gonna kill you. The true objective was the objective the whole time.
Despite that, I will say, big pats on the back there for Jump Machine to recognize that. The lead has been closed. It's nearly even at this point in the game. King's Court, a few short minutes ago, were down like, what, 4K, right? And now all of a sudden, Jump Machine have kind of let things slip away. Look at that, 500 in favor. That's absolutely nothing. What does that owe to? What changed?
A lot of it was the King's Court being able to find response kills to what Jump Machine did. It really started back around that fight at the red buff. Snatty rotates, and then off of that, Jump Machine makes a mistake of trying to get an invade off near that back cam next to Speed. King's Court had a couple of good responses to that, and that's why they were able to get back into it. But now, Jump Machine looking to establish dominance again.
Wow, great open the gates to immediately negate any pressure Happen could have. You don't need beads in that instance, or at the very least, you don't need to use them, since Akate does have them still in pocket. Cersei's Hexstone being forced out. The Whirlpool trying to dissuade any further approach might not be enough. Odin still seems full tilt, intent on that kill. They will finally be backed off thanks to the rotating Tagveer, so Baron stays safe for now. Moonbots getting this nice little proxy farm on the left.
A little bit of potential deep ward action by the tier 2, if you will, but no wards in pocket. So what is he doing over there? Just trying to freeze out potential rotation. That was caught.
This will not end well for you. Oh, Odin's actually neglects to rotate, maybe having abandoned the idea that they can actually catch up to Valo. honestly, a bit of a shame. I think they absolutely could have caught them out, but instead they want to dedicate their attentions to the fight in the mid lane. But speaking in earnest, Thor takes to the sky, crashes down in the midst of three, the Bermuda Triangle, and we know how that is. They're going to disappear. No, it's Twig instead who gets snapped out in a flash by moves in the midst of the cage. Tegvir now trying to escape thanks to the Phantom Shell. Odin decides to continue the push. Cab makes their rotation, finds the stun, but some great shielding from the Kate keeps that Bacchus in good spirits. Odin going to be able to rejoin the fight shortly. Those are two tanky, beefy boys on the Jump Machine still standing, so it's only one member who dies.
Speaking of spirits, I mean, Bacchus uses that chug and suddenly you can't kill him. Just too tanky of a target for two tanks to be able to burst down effectively. When Snatty jumped in there, it looked like that they were about to die, like jumped right into the arms of the Kraken, but the Kraken was just a little bit off the mark from Twig there. And because of that, and this Odin cage, where, keep in mind, the only person who has Shell is Tegvir in the left lane, so that Odin cage gets so much value, Jump Machine just kind of keel over and die.
Maybe trying to find Happen to meet the same fate for him. As look at the damage being applied. Cersei's Hexstone once again going to save him. Great immunity of the stun there from their own ultimate. Has to make sure to dodge to prolong that CC immunity as the Open the Gates comes out. Happen able to stay safe through all of that nonsense because of it, but has to now back off, and that does leave Jump Machine at a significant disadvantage from the numbers. Tegvir starts to make their rotation over, same with the Cab. They get instantly stunned for their troubles, stunned once again, and they decide to retreat stage right.
King's Court starting to level out a bit here in these team fights, really starting to use their tools more effectively. And also what I think is really happening is Happen's getting poked out right at the start of these engagements. They almost die, not only in this fight, but the last fight too. Forced to Cersei's Hexstone away, try to get an ult off, and then they're out. If Happen were healthier and able to throw out more abilities, more heals to their team, then Jump Machine can have a safer engage. But look over at this left side of the Gold Fury pit, we're gonna see an engage right now.
Karma getting 1v1 by Snatty, but it's going to be able to live for a little bit longer. Valo instead takes the kill on top of Briz in the midst of the cage. Already dropped down, a big tool lost by King's Court. Now it's looking at this pit. Jump Machine do have the man advantage and are going to begin it in earnest, try to find their second objective. King's Court, aware of this, have two Sunders in pocket. If they want to try to step up, Bacchus is going to be the first one on the Vanguard. Odin waits in the wings, finds the stun from the Belch. Not enough, though. Look at that Whirlpool. Drags him back in as Tegvir drags him across. In fact, in a fountain, Odin will fall right after. No Sunders left. A big blunder instead. Tegvir grabs the double.
There's the missing piece from Jump Machine, because you know who wasn't in these fights before but has joined us now? It is Tegvir. Gold Fury scooped up there by Jump Machine. A glorious little dessert treat for their troubles.
Oh God,
and
Golden!
Karma kills Golden in the mid lane. Okay then. This Artemis has been farming this whole time, getting items online like Chin's Blade and Sunbeam Bow, and now that they've got it, they can really shred through the tanks that the King's Court have, and that's what they needed to be able to stand up to Snatty or Moods whenever they go in there.
He's forced out by the Open Gate. Speaking of Shred, man, these towers and Phoenixes will go down so quickly thanks to this aspect from Twig, alongside the damage that Tegvir's already producing. 5-1 on this Artemis. 0-3 on this Poseidon is by no means, I think, a testament to how good of a job they're doing. However, must be noted, Briz on this Akate, 2 levels up ahead, 1.5 now at this point. Nonetheless, might very well be the grand sparkling hope for the King's Court to take things back in their control.
Hecate is, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, one of the strongest mages in Smite 2. It has been pretty much since she's released, right? Hecate has always been ridiculously good. You can rely on her in the late game to do a ridiculous amount of damage. That might be the play for the King's Court here. We set up cages with Justin Hughes, Snatty jumps in, and then the big boom follow-up comes from Briz. So in that turn, Jump Machine's target is the Hecate. If you can kill her, you neuter a significant amount of damage that the King's Court has available to them, and then everything else starts to fall down around them.
And talk about the strategy you mentioned of who does the Poseidon solo crack, and I think the answer is right there in front of what you just mentioned. Try to take down Briz ahead of time, and then you maybe have this fight cracked wide open. Pyromancer cracked open by Jump Machine as they continue the objective domination. Now pulls them back ahead, 6K in the lead. They decided to set their sights on grander objectives, looking for this FG. The King's Court got to step up fast.
This is a very gutsy FG call. I would almost say it's going to be a trap laid down to bait King's Court in. They immediately scatter off of
Thor's
it.
in the sky. scary
Oh.
situation here has happened. Takes a bit too much poke for their liking. So you do get the Anvil of Dawn off, and you have all 5 diamonds still nice and full from Jump Machine. Ult economy looks to be good their way, and regular economy as well. But they do decide to back fully off of it. They don't want to test their luck quite just yet.
Interesting that the King's Court fell for the bait there, because like Hunbats was all the way in left lane and you only had 3 people on the Fire Giant pit. I think King's Court just got a little bit scared of the possibility, and now they're down this Thorol Jump Machine looking for a fight in the mid lane.
In the meantime, in the right side, could be trouble here for the Thor. Thought they had the advantage. Happen will go down in mid, but Thor gets traded out in right. Karmic takes that kill, doing a great job of baiting them in. Snatty thinks they win the 1v1. They certainly do. However, it never was a 1v1. You silly fool. It's a handicap match.
And without Thor ultimate to get away, Snatty does just keel over and perish. Remember, once Thor doesn't have the hammer to throw out, they're pretty much a sitting duck, especially to a character like Artemis. No beads, no beads, no beads, and a singular talisman, a purification from
That's not
Moon.
7.
So that's not 7. 1 is less than 7. Did you know that, D'Lo? That's
We're learning our
PEMDAS.
math here. It's scary, but that absolutely is PEMDAS. Now we're trying to see Cavs subtracting some more numbers across the map. Looks for the Odin here, can't quite find him, but look at the confidence oozing from them as they step up. That's 3 members. Your friends are far behind you. They don't seem to care. They've got their eyes set for Briz, but Briz is going to be able to back up for now. Karmic's still trying to maintain that Vanguard front. Jingwei steps in from the Rapid Resurrection and forces the Cav back finally.
Karmic absolutely has got that dog in him. Without a shadow of doubt, they are able to just walk up, and because they're Kabrakan, they're gonna live forever before you're able to take them down. So that is why Karmic can just walk up to them and say, hey, like, you gotta acknowledge me, make some space, because Jump Machine is clearing up this Gold Fury.
Gonna be easily cleaned up unless the Sunder's got something to say about it. Karmic does grab it for Jump Machine, the 3rd Fury. Cage dropped down, but instantly Odin's got to leave it. Tegvir gets deleted. Justin Hu shortly after. The Kraken finds 2. Golden gets wiped away by Twig. Life of the party gonna invite Moods back in for one more drink. I'm not sure if he wants to stick around for it. Hecate pulled back in by their own, open the gates. They're trying to get back to safety thanks to the flea of Twig. Now they're in trouble too. Forces Moods back there with the cascading waves. Takes the wind sprite, but Cav's gonna fall ya, and they got a lot more movement speed. Moods already dead. Killing spree there for Valo, and they're looking to add one more name to their bloody ledger. Briz rings around the rosy before we all fall down.
Jump Machine, they clean up that Gold Fury, and then the engage from the King's Court was absolutely there. Snatty is able to Thor dive onto the back line. Justin Hu walks it up on top of the Gold Fury, and then the fight splinters off into like 3 different engagements, right? Twig is up that northern part of the pit fighting off Moods, and then you also have, it was Tegvir that just got blown up to that southern part of the pit, and then of course Snatty exits stage right? Stage left? Stage right?
Remember,
D'Lo, your theater.
Theater's hard too. Your
Theater's
theater, what are you
hard.
talking about? You were just talking about Hades Town.
Hades isn't a town, it's a god, D'Lo.
Well,
Is Snatty
Snatty's
dead?
about to meet him in a second. He's about to say, I can tell you in just a
my
moment,
God, he's dead.
after one more seismic crush from Karmic, and Snatty will be down for 60 more seconds. Little killing spree there for the Cab. Towers going down across the map as well, as we
Pyrobomb?
continue to see some pressure afforded here by Jump Machine. And with that pressure, what do they decide to get? Some rocks from the FG, but you know what would be nicer? The FG in its entirety. Twig does make sure to scoop up that Pyro Bomb. 2 in the pocket of Jump Machine. Definitely could be useful in taking down that objective.
You have 2 Pyro Bombs, you also have 2 Sunders. Kraken could be a confirmation tool as well, but not really itemized to use it in such a way. It's got to be the team fight. But Fire Giant is picked up here by Jump Machine. King's Court is in the area, and with every tool available, minus the Snatty, they could contest this.
You have 3 Sunders. This is where you need to put it to good use. You have to justify your purchases. Odin decides to leap in. That means 2 Sunders are inside the pit, but one's about to be wiped away from the map as Moon slowly gets taken down by the auto attackers. Tegvir takes credit. The cage is dropped, but no damage is following. Valo's a monkey in a cage, and they're used to that. They've been to the zoo. Now you're the one invited. Happen takes down the FG. All 5 members of Jump Machine are now empowered. Karmic says, thanks for making me under tier 2 tower quicker. Now die. The Whirlpool off the mark. That's A-okay. These autos get the job done. Justin Hu down for the rampage. Snatty as well.
Jump Machine, everybody's got fire, 3 people dead for the King's Court. That tier 2 tower, not long for the world. Kraken a little bit off the mark, a little overzealous here. The push potential is here from Jump Machine. Can King's Court fend them off?
Dawn, you can't even lift up to the sky. You're in the ground. Golden will go down once more. Hecate, the last hope, is the one standing up against him alongside the box. That's who you want. You gotta hope that he's stone cold sober. You need all the plays you got. Great pre-beads of the knock up there, completely eliminating any hope they could have to defend. Moods goes down amidst the walls rising up. Jump Machine look to go to finals before they stomp out Briz for the final BM kill. Deicide and victory. Jump Machine going to finals.
I mean, it was Valo, it was Tagveer, it was Happen. I mean, everything for this Jump Machine composition really came together. Once Artemis joined these team fights and was able to shred down Moods and the other tanks like Snatty, it was over. We were done. If you saw around that FG fight where Moods was down that southern part of the FG pit, dude, deleted. I watched a Poseidon and Artemis run at this Bacchus, and all he could do was squirm and be like, dude, please no, I don't want to get anymore, and then died, right? Like a dog. That was ridiculous.
I mean, the issue, honestly, he could have used the Neemium a lot more than Justin Hu in that situation. I actually do like that. I was going to mention it earlier, but the game ended so quickly, there was not even a chance. All those auto attackers just doing so much sustained damage, and honestly, that Kraken still does a bit and annoys you by knocking you up and forcing you into a precarious situation. These cripples, so many harassing tools that harangue anyone trying to escape. And normally on paper you say, wow, that team's got a lot of escapability. They got great disengage. Not if Twigs just running you down, making sure that you do not have your life vest equipped. You cannot stand these waters.
Look at these stats, dude. Karmic does in fact have that dog. They might have like 2 dogs in him, 3 dogs. Kerberos, hello? Smites the competition. This is ridiculous. 640 GPM, top of the game for player damage. And then also the tank. I'm never giving Karmic Cabrakan again. Never again. That's never ever happening. That's nuts.
Inside you, there are 3 wolves, and all 3 of them are named Karmic.
Like, howls at the moon, the actual alpha. Fenrir wasn't even in this game. Like, what's happening?
Oh, clearly his spirit lives on inside the cab. You mentioned it, right? And that was at the back of the draft, wasn't it? Wasn't that the very last pick?
Cabrakan.
All right, well,
no.
maybe ban Cab and leave Bari open. Nah, I'm kidding. I shouldn't even say that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know. I shouldn't even have said that. I'm sorry. That was
crazy.
You guys can burn me at the stake. But before we can even get to that, we're going to have more matches coming up for you. So semifinals, I think, the other half of the bracket coming up in just a second to see who will step up against our reigning champions and if they can change the outcome. So don't you dare go anywhere. More Smite Prime after this.